Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back looking in the files of the dev server because there's a bunch of other stuff to kind of see which isn't on the dev server itself. One of them is this right here, which looks kind of ridiculous, but we'll get into it. And also there's a new vehicle in the files, many different loadouts, and also new weaponry. So stick around as always in this video. We'll go over all of it and kind of show you what's going to be coming in the future when it comes to War Thunder. Sometimes not in the next update, but maybe in the future. They actually kind of reference this one though. By the way, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. But this was kind of referenced in the changelog. It talked about the Tu-14 getting a new torpedo, which could be dropped from high altitudes. And this kind of idea, when you have a look at it, just seems pretty weird to me. So this is, at least labeled in the files, the 4554 torpedo, which basically talks about the 450mm 4554 VT. This was a Russian torpedo that was developed during the Cold War. And the idea of this one was you would drop it, depending on the variant, at either 5,000 meters in the air or 10,000 meters. And then this parachute would deploy and it would basically float down to the water and then it would go forward. Now, you may be thinking, oh, that kind of makes sense because then the torpedo could guide itself in. It's a Cold War torpedo, so it probably has some kind of like either resonance guidance system or something else. But no, this was actually an unguided torpedo. So you would drop it from height and then it would hit the water and then go towards the target, but you wouldn't be able to maneuver it in any way. So I'm guessing this was more designed to go after stationary targets than mobile ones, unless the pilots were incredibly good at aiming while using it. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool that they're adding this in. And at least the reference to it was in the changelog about the Tu-14. So maybe other vehicles will get access to this. Russia kind of struggles in War Thunder when it comes to torpedoes. They don't have a ton of them around, so it would be really nice if they ended up getting this one. Another vehicle or another set of vehicles that are getting kind of pushed forward is more naval machines, and this one is another battle cruiser or battleship, depending on who you ask. This is the, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's basically the H-E-I-A. H-I-E-I. There you go. So we're going to call it the Hiei, because why not? Or the Hey, or the He, or the He, and the Who, and the Ha. Basically, what it is a Japanese battleship or battle cruiser once again. It's part of the Congo class, which is one of those which is a little bit of both, which is why, depending on who you ask, they'll say it's something different. This was something that was built before the First World War, but then it was retrofitted before the Second World War. And I don't know which configuration we have of it, but my guess would probably be the Second World War one, since it at least has a set of different factors compared to what some of the general pictures are. It could easily be the First World War one, though, because it doesn't have as big of a crazy bridge. A lot of the Japanese kind of retrofits for these types of vehicles meant that this area was just absolutely massive, which is something that you kind of see in the game. So this vehicle has 14-inch guns. You can see 2 dual mounts on the front right here. It also has 2 dual mounts on the back. And then in its standard configuration, it has 16 of the 6-inch guns, which are all in these kind of like side areas on both sides. You also have access to some 3-inch guns as well, which are around the place. You can see these little kind of stub guns, which are right here. And that is kind of how that was set up. The World War II refit, so this actually happened kind of before World War II for the Japanese. What they ended up doing is they switched out a lot of the kind of secondary armament or tertiary armament, I suppose, so the 3-inch guns for 127mm, which of course are 5-inch guns, and then also the good old 1-inch guns as well. So my guess is this is more of kind of the pre-retrofit version, because it seems to have the more World War I armament on it, and also it looks a little bit more like a World War I battleship from the Japanese. The vehicle being part of the Congo class should have a decent amount of speed, and also, at the same time, a decent amount of armor as well. Since we already have some Congos in the game, you could probably see what it is. The only real question for me is, how does this come in? Is it going to be a squadron vehicle? Is it going to be a standard research vehicle? Or are they going to make it a premium to try and entice people to grind through the tech tree? Who knows? Anything is kind of possible. We can also talk about some loadouts. If you didn't know, there is a bunch of F-16s that are getting changed, but one of the ones which is actually kind of cool is the F-16A Block 15 OCU for Belgium. So this isn't the first OCU we have in the game. There's also one for Thailand, but this vehicle in the game right now, it only really has access to its air-to-air weapons. So it has some Magic 2s, it has some AIM-9Ms, basically some of the better IR missiles in the game. But in the files, it has all of the secondary weapons that you would want from a CAS aircraft. So it has access to the GBUs, like the 24s, the 31s. It also gets the Atlas targeting pod and also a bunch of countermeasure pods on top of it. So you won't be stuck with that kind of small amount of countermeasures that this vehicle has on the dev server right now. What it also gets access to is Mavericks in the form of AGM 65Ds and also Gs. And as another part of its repertoire, it also can get access to AIM 120As. So this might actually be going much higher in BR pretty soon because it will get access to all of those different pieces of weaponry. It also, funnily enough, has the funny gun on it. So we'll have to see how that goes with it, if it keeps it or not. But it might be kind of fun to see. Another vehicle which also is getting some new additions in the F-16 family is the Sufa. This is the Israeli F-16 that is coming in, and it has a few different weapons, basically one which has 2 AIM-9Ms and 4 Derby missiles, also AIM-7Ms and GBU-64s too. So maybe this vehicle could also get some fun stuff. The other one I wanted to talk about was the new AGM that's coming in for America. So America is getting the H-64E, right? Which, by the way, has access to a loadout with more rockets on it, but it's also getting access to a cool missile, basically the AGM 179, or the JAGM as it's known. So this missile is coming in for the Apache, but there might also be different variants of it coming in. So you have this variant, and then you also have access to this one. Now, this is the standard variant, and this is the MR variant. I'm pretty sure the MR variant is the one which is in the game. Basically, it's the one which changes the range of it from 8 to 16 kilometers, and therefore is just kind of the better version of it. But this could also mean that we might get some other vehicles which have access to the standard one, which would have a little bit less of a range, but also generally would be useful still. There's also a few other kind of little weaponry things here and there. The Z-51, for example, that random German destroyer which is here, that has also got some access to some different things. So it has a few different weird weapons on it that maybe we'll see in the future, but who knows? That is another kind of mystery for the next time. You can see here that it actually has a deck which could be designed for either depth charges or other stuff, and also the depth charge launchers or kind of droppers on the side here on the vehicle too. But right now, at least when it comes to the dev server, it doesn't have access to too much of that. So there's a bunch of stuff in the files. It's kind of surprising how every time we have a look at these things, there is, for some reason, just a random ship in here, but there is also a bunch of other cool stuff which we might see soon. The dev server will get updated a bunch of times like it always does. I'll make sure to keep on top of it for you so I can bring you all of the information in the videos. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.